So as you can see, you only need to save 25 times your annual retirement spending, or if you break it down, 300 times your monthly retirement spending to retire. That's it. That's the whole formula. But how did we get here? Now that you know the answer, I think it's important that we go back and figure out how we came up with this formula, why you can trust these numbers, and how you can apply that to your own life. Sometimes the only way to move forward is to go backward. What's up everybody, it's Jacob Wade here from Roadmap Money, and I'm here to help you build a life you love with the money you already have. Today, I want to show you exactly how much you need to save for retirement, give you a formula so you can figure this out in your own life, and show you exactly how much you need to invest per month to get there, no matter what age you are. And at the end of this video, I want to share with you one thing I learned about retirement that made me quit my job and travel the country in an RV for a couple of years with my family without worrying about our financial future. So you're going to want to stick around for that. So how much money do you need to retire? If you do a quick Google search of that phrase, you're going to find about 4 gajillion answers, and you're going to find that all of the experts can't seem to agree on what that number actually is. So here's a couple of the popular results that I found when I was researching this topic. All right, one popular site says you need to save 10 times your income by the time you're age 67. Okay, seems reasonable. That's easy enough to figure out. But why? They don't really explain that well. Another one says 80% of your income to retire. Okay, so I need to replace 80% of what I'm making. But then you just go right down the results, and the next one says, no. You need to replace 70% of your income. Okay, ignore the handwriting. We've got 3 results here. Which is it? Do you need to save 10 times your income? Do you need to replace 80% of your income for retirement, or do you need to replace 70% of your income? Well, I can tell you the answer is absolutely none of these, because they're all hot garbage and they don't actually base retirement on the important factor, which is not your income. It's your spending. So the problem with most of these retirement calculations is they're focusing on the wrong thing. Your income doesn't matter. All that matters is what are you going to be spending in retirement. So if you can figure out your retirement spending, you can figure out exactly how much you need to save and use in retirement. Now, that might seem like a really far off thing to do, right? Jake, my retirement's 30 plus years away. How the heck am I going to know what I'm going to spend? Well, let's just talk about some of the big categories, and we can just make some estimates. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's going to get you a lot closer than just let me replace some of my income. That's not based on reality. Let's base it on reality here. So you're going to want to think about a few different categories here, the big ones for retirement. So one is housing. Are you going to have a mortgage? Or are you going to have your house paid off? Are you still going to be renting, right? What are your housing costs? The other one is, are you going to travel? And what kind of transportation costs are you going to have? What kind of transt costs are you going to have? So figure out your transportation costs, including travel. And then just the basics, right? So utilities, food, and then one of the unknowns, but something you can look into, is insurance. So if you can figure out the big 5, you can at least have a good estimate of what your retirement budget will look like. And the easiest way to do that is just break it down into an actual monthly budget. You can grab a free copy of my monthly budget in the link below and just call it retirement budget and start to project what that would look like. So where are you gonna live? How much is housing costs, your transportation and travel costs, your basics like utilities, food, and insurance costs might be a bigger question mark, but there's ways to look up and figure out, okay, what is medical insurance, car insurance, that kind of stuff. So go through and create just a regular old budget based on what you want to spend in retirement. Now, before we get to the formula, I want to note that the number we're going to get to is based on your first year in retirement. We're not talking about 20 years in your retirement, what is your budget? Just what is your initial retirement budget? Because the formula we're going to get into includes inflation and cost of living adjustments. So just think about, okay, when I first retire, what is going to be my annual spending? All right, let's talk about the 4% rule because that's how we're gonna get to your retirement number. So the 4% rule was originated by a guy named Bill Bengen who did a research paper back in the 90s, and then it was kind of affirmed by another one called the Trinity Study. And basically they looked at historical return rates for a 50% stock index fund, 50% bond index fund portfolio, and how much can they safely withdraw without ever running out of money, even in the worst market conditions, like retiring the day before the Great Depression hit, or the stock market crash in the 80s. And so they went through all of these rolling 30-year periods, and they said, for a 30-year retirement, let's say you're retiring at 60, you expect to live to 90, how much money can you withdraw per year without running out of money? And Bill Bengen came up with about 4.15%, and the Trinity Study went more toward, how successful is a 4% withdrawal rates, and they both came up with the fact that they're about 95% successful. So the 4% rule just means however much you have invested, you can withdraw 4% of that per year with inflation adjustments and not run out of money for a 30-year retirement. So what does that actually look like? So you're gonna need to create a portfolio of stock index funds, or just one, there's a really good one, and bond index fund. And this is not like great returns, but it's just more of a fixed income instrument that has lower returns, but when things dip like crazy, it doesn't dip as much. And so you can just do 50% of this and 50% of that. And based on this chart that I'll bring up, the Vanguard research team says that a 50-50 stock index fund and bond index fund portfolio since 1926, and this is back when the Trinity Study and Bill Bengen's study went back to, since 1926, the annualized returns are over 8% per year. So I would say I follow a guy named Michael Kitces, who I think is the forefront of retirement planning, and he says to go with a 60-40 portfolio. So what that would look like is there'd be a 60% stock index fund and a 40% bond index fund portfolio. So basically 60% of your money sits here, 40% of your money hits here, and you're gonna hit that 4% safe withdrawal rate. And he has even found, and he even talked to Bill Bengen 30 years later, and they have actually, with their own clients, used a 4.5% and depending on how aggressive they are, even a 5% withdrawal rate that allowed people to still have a safe retirement. So the 4% rule is like a very, very safe way to project what you need to retire. Now, based on this, we can take that 4% and figure out exactly how much money you need to retire. So there's a couple of funds that fall into this category. So if you just want the US-based stuff, there's Vanguard's VTSAX, and that's the stock index fund. And that owns over 3,800 companies. And the ETF version of this is called VTI. And I mentioned that in my Roth IRA video, which you can find up here, where I talk about opening a Roth IRA through M1 Finance. But this fund owns over 3,800 publicly traded companies within the United States. It is a very broad index fund. The other one is the bond index fund called VBTLX. And this is for bonds. I believe it owns over like 6,000 bonds, United States bonds. The other ticker symbol for it, if you're buying the ETF version, is BND. So these two funds make up your stock and bond index fund portfolio. And that's that simple 2-fund portfolio that they used in the studies for that 4% rule. So if you're invested in 60% this and 40% this, right? So we'll just visualize that, 60% this, 40% this. You can use the 4% withdrawal rule. Now let's put it all together and come up with your retirement number. Okay, you know you need to figure out how much you're gonna spend in retirement, and you know that you need to invest in a 60-40 stock and bond index fund portfolio, which brings us to the formula to figure out exactly how much you need to retire, which is this: 25 times your annual retirement spending. Now, a way that I like to put it, especially if you're just trying to figure out, okay, well, I'm gonna spend about this per month in retirement, is to, instead of looking at annual spending, let's look at monthly spending. So that's gonna be 300 times your monthly spending. Well, why is that the case? Well, if you think about that 4% rule, if you can withdraw 4% of your total portfolio, that's 1/25 of your portfolio, right? So if we just take that and multiply it by 25, we get to the retirement number. So that's your 25 times the annual spending amount. I like to break it down by month. So 25 times 12 months is 300. And there you have it. So really, if you know what you're gonna spend annually in retirement, you just multiply it by 25, that's your number. It's not based on income, it's not based on anything else, but how much you're gonna spend in retirement. So let's do a quick example of what this would look like. So say you grabbed my monthly budget template and you wrote down an estimate of what you're gonna spend in retirement per month, and let's say it's $5,000, right? Well, we're gonna multiply that $5,000 per month amount by 300, and that's gonna make a number of 1.5 million. If you're gonna spend $5,000 a month in retirement, you need $1.5 million to retire. I hope that is simple there. And let's say you're gonna spend a little more, something closer to 80 grand a year, which is about 6,666 per month. And you multiply that by 300, that's gonna be 2 million. So whatever number you came up with in your estimate retirement monthly budget, just multiply that by 300. And if you're just projecting, this is gonna be my projected annual spending in retirement, you could just do the simple multiply it by 25. That's gonna give you your number. So as you can see, you only need to save 25 times your annual retirement spending, or if you break it down, 300 times your monthly retirement spending to retire. That's it. That's the whole formula. So let's say you're gonna spend $5,000 a month in retirement, you multiply that by 300 and you get to $1.5 million. There's your number. Or if you're gonna spend a little more, 6,666 a month, that's about 80 grand a year in retirement, multiply that, 2 million. That's how you do it. Just plug your annual retirement spending into this and you will have your number. Okay, we've figured out what you're going to spend in retirement. We've figured out what the 4% rule is and how to invest with the 4% rule. And we figured out your retirement number. Now let's get there. I've broken down 2 versions of retirement. This is that $5,000 a month one, or 60 grand spending per year. This one is for 80 grand of spending per year. So these are multiple ways to save. And I want to break it down by age, because whatever your age is, you can start saving now, and I want to show you that it's possible. So we're going to be using that 60-40 portfolio with an 8% return on average, and we're just going to talk about how much do you need to invest per month to get to these retirement numbers. So if you have a lower budget and you think you're gonna need about $5,000 a month for that first year of retirement, you only need to save $1.5 million. So let's talk about what that means and how much you need to start investing right now at your age to get there. Okay, so now you know what your retirement spending might look like. You know how to apply the 4% rule and how to invest using a 60-40 portfolio, and you know how to find out your retirement number by taking 25 times your annual spending or 300 times your monthly spending in retirement. Now, let's figure out how to save and invest to actually get there. I want to break it down with two scenarios here. One is for that $1.5 million retirement. The other is for saving $2 million. This is based on that 60-40 portfolio investment with an average return of 8% per year. So here's what it looks like and how much you need to save per month based on your age. So to save $1.5 million and you're starting at age 20, let's say you're young and you want to get started now, you only need to save $250 per month to get to $1.5 million by traditional retirement age of 67. So that is a simple number you can plug in and automate, and you'll be there by the time you hit 67. If you're a little older, you're 25 years old and you want to start saving, you need to start saving a little bit more. So you're going to need to invest $375 per month. That'll get you to that $1.5 million at traditional retirement age of 67. If you're in your 30s, a lot of people think, oh man, I've been working for a decade, I don't have anything invested. That's okay. Starting from $0, as long as you invest $575 per month until age 67, you'll still get to that $1.5 million in your retirement account. So that is totally doable. If you're age 35, like me, let's say you haven't started, right? You got the house, had the kids, you're doing the career thing, but you just never got around to start investing, you're gonna need to invest about $850 per month to save toward that $1.5 million retirement. Okay, let's say you hit age 40, you have nothing in any investment account, $0, and you're gonna get started now. You can still save $1.5 million by the time you're 67, as long as you put away $1,350 away per month toward retirement. Now, if you're 45 years old and you have nothing put away for retirement, that might feel stressful, but you can still get to over $1 million by the time you're 67. You're just gonna have to put a little more away. So on your monthly investment, you're gonna need to put $2,100 away per month in that 60-40 portfolio to get you to $1.5 million by the time you hit retirement age. And if you're 50, if you want to get here, it is possible. You're just going to need to invest from age 50 to age 67, you're going to need to invest $3,500 per month. So as you can see, it gets exponentially more difficult if you wait to start investing. Now let's say you're going to spend a little more in retirement and you want to have a $2 million portfolio by the time you hit age 67, your traditional retirement age. How much do you need to save per month? So let's go down the line. So if you're age 20 and you want to have $2 million in the bank when you're 67, you only need to put away $325 per month in that 60-40 stock and bond portfolio, and that will get you there at an 8% return. If you're 25 and you have nothing put away, you can simply put away $500 a month and get to $2 million by the time you are 67 years old. And the great thing about $500 a month is that is the maximum you can put away in your Roth IRA. As I discuss in my M1 finance video right up here, you can grab the link or you can check the link in the description below, and you can do this and put away $500 a month tax-free. The growth will be tax-free and you could take that at retirement tax-free. So $500 a month, you can still get to $2 million, totally doable. And if you do it in a Roth IRA, it'll be tax-free money at the end. Okay, if you're age 30 and you have nothing put away in your retirement account, but you want to get to $2 million, you can still get there, but you're gonna have to invest $750 per month. At age 35, that number jumps up to $1,150 per month, but you can start now and get to $2 million by the time you're 67. It's totally doable. All right, at age 40, you have aggressive goals. You still want to get to that $2 million. You just need to put away $1,775 per month to get to $2 million invested. And this is where it's going to get a bit more difficult. If you wait to 45, you have nothing put away, and you have an aggressive goal of $2 million invested for retirement, you're going to need to put away $2,800 per month until age 67 to have $2 million in your account. And if you're 50 years old and you've put nothing away, but you still want to get to $2 million, you only have about 17 years to invest. So you're going to need to put away $4,650 per month at an 8% return to get to that $2 million. So if you're able to do that, you can still get there. So I hope this helps visualize how to invest to get toward these larger retirement goals, you can plug in your own number. There's some great retirement calculators. I'll put a couple of links in the description below. But once you find out your number, you can start figuring out how much do I need to invest per month to get there, and then just get started is the simplest way to do it. I always recommend if you got a 401k at work, do the match. And if you don't, just open a Roth IRA and you can start chucking money away in there and just let it grow, let it compound, because over time, that's really what's gonna do the work. All right, and since you stuck around to the end of the video, I promised you I was gonna reveal to you the thing that allowed me to just quit my job and travel for a couple of years instead of grinding up the corporate ladder. And it's this thing called Coast FI. Coast FI is the idea that if you invest enough early and then you never invest again, your money will still grow to be enough for retirement by the time you're retirement age. So for me, that magic number was having $100,000 invested by the time I was age 30. And I knew that that was gonna grow at an 8% rate to $1.7 million by age 67. And so that gave me the confidence to say, I don't need to put another penny into these investments for the next 37 years, and I'm still gonna have $1.7 million. So that allowed me to take the risk of selling our home, using some of that home equity to take a couple years to go travel in an RV with our family and still know that we're set for retirement. And the other thing is this is based on an 8% return, but I'm not invested in a 60-40 portfolio. I am more heavy in equities, and the investments that I have average 10 to 12% per year. And I plan on holding on to a majority in equities until right before I retire. So if I just have a 10% return, just 2 more percent, which has been the stock market average over the last 100 years, that number actually turns into 3.4 million by the time I'm age 67. Just 2% per year, but because it's compounding for so long, that number doubles, which is insane. But this concept of being invested using index funds that have very low fees and letting them grow over time blew my mind and took all the stress off of me of, oh, I'm leaving my corporate career and I make all this money, and what about our equity in our home that we built? Like, it's gonna be going to waste. It didn't matter. I was able to buy 2 years of my life back, take the time off, spend it with my family, reconnect, travel the country, hit 38 states and over 20 national parks, and really build memories of a lifetime because I understood this concept. So again, saving for retirement, you can do the bare minimum, but if you can front load your life, if you're young and you start investing aggressively and for growth, and you get to somewhere like this, and there's multiple, Coast FI points that you can get to, but if you can get to this, that means you're gonna get to this by the time you retire. You can take risks and basically, as long as you can cover the bills, you can do something like I did, like quit and travel and start your own business. I'm able to run my own business from home now instead of having to go back to what I was doing because of this concept. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. I hope this concept is helpful for you guys. If you have any questions about investing, about retirement, about how to come up with your number, I would love to hear them. Drop them in the comments below. I want to be a resource for you guys. I want to be helpful here. So just let me know. As always, I appreciate you being here. I know how scarce time is these days, so it means the world to me that you spend a few minutes watching my videos. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you want to join our channel and see when more videos come up. And if you hit that notification bell, you'll be notified right away when I upload a new video. It also helps with the YouTube algorithm. They want to know if you like these videos, and then they will show this video to more people, and it allows me to keep doing what I'm doing and creating more content. So if you go ahead and do that for me, I'll be forever grateful. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next time.